Alrighty, everybody. It is currently Wednesday, May 14th, 2025, and I'm coming at you live after many trials and a few tribulations of, trying to get this whole thing set up. It's after 6 months, you'd think I'd like have it down. You'd think I'd have it figured out relatively because it's just a USB. It's the simplest thing on earth, and somehow I don't have it down. But that is, most people my age, we don't really know shit about computer. Like most people my age will we're just gonna spend all our time on our phones anyways. Like you don't need a computer. I have a computer in my hand that I can like touch. I don't even have to type on it. I don't even have to a keyboard. That's ancient, dude. People have been using keyboards since like the 1800s, maybe even before that. I don't I don't know when the keyboard was invented, or like a typewriter. Like a typewriter, how you type on a typewriter, that's just a keyboard. So most people, we're not even gonna know how to type, and if you, everyone's just gonna be using voice to text like a 98-year-old man. That's the way you got to do it. Or not even voice to text, because then if you use voice to text, then someone has to read what you sent them. It's just gonna be it's just gonna be voice memos constantly, all day back. No phone calls either. You'd think eventually you'd switch over back to phone calls, but no, just voice memos back and forth all day, and then that's gonna be everyone's gonna be like, dude, a voice memo. I'm not doing all that. I'm not. I'm not reading all that. So it's just gonna be a series of not even emojis. It's almost gonna be like that movie Arrival. If you've ever seen the movie Arrival with like, if you don't know, there's like these big old alien things, and the way they talk is like they're kind of like squid-like alien things, and the way they talk is they like spray this ink out of their hand, and it just makes like a symbol, and everyone understands it. And I think that's the future of communication right there. You know what I mean? Just like a symbol, you instantly get what someone's saying. It just like transmits like a message to your brain, basically. You don't even have to think about it or like analyze the symbol. It just instantly transmits a message a message into your brain, just like right there. For some reason right now, the back of my head is cramping. I don't it maybe it's because I'm like completely bent over. I'm in a position no human being should ever be in, a position that no one's designed to be in. But that's because, dude, I'm recording this. I don't have no other option. I'm just like my laptop is on my bed, and obviously my bed's low to the ground, and so I'm like kind of like hunched over, like it's a little secret. No one could ever hear me record. No one can hear me talk about the Jews. I can't let, I can't let the people know my thoughts on the Jews. You know what I mean? Just not even because I don't want them to think I'm anti-Semitic or whatever. It's my conspiracy theories. They're just not well fleshed out enough, right? Like if you're gonna be racist or anti-Semitic or like anything, if you're gonna be like a hateful person, you got to be like an informed hateful person. You know what? You got to be like you got to have your whole thing like fleshed out, right? So someone can't come in with like some Socrates bullshit and just like ask you a million questions and then be like, "Gotcha" on like the million and first question. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna be a spiteful bigot, at least be a well planned out spiteful bigot. You know what I mean? Have it ready to go so that if anyone comes at you asking questions and shit, you got a million different answers. If someone's like, "Why do you hate, Koreans or whatever?" You got to know everything about Koreans, right? Like that's Sun Tzu's whole thing. Know thy enemy. I don't even know if that was him. I'm assuming it was him. We got to give him some credit here and there because the only other one that I know is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so we got to give him a little bit, even if it wasn't him that said, even if he like stole that one a little bit, we got to give him the credit because everyone always talks about that book. They're like, you got to read Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I feel like that's a thing that like Joe Rogan talks about, a lot. He's always like, Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I don't know if him, but like just people will be like, you need to read that book. And it's like, oh, I need to read that book. I need to figure out ancient Chinese war tactics when I'm just going to go to an office all day and fill out Excel spreadsheets. I really need to know what's going on there. I really need to know how to besiege a walled city if I'm just gonna go fill out paperwork all day. So no, I haven't read The Art of War, and I probably never will. It's like same thing with like Marcus Aurelius and his like meditations or whatever. It's like really, I need to know about Marcus Aurelius's First of all, I'm not gonna meditate. Did the guy even know what meditating is? Let's be. He lived in like ancient Rome. Those people were concerned with like how can we get as many slaves as possible, and how can we make an arena big enough for like everyone to watch them fight it. That's really what they were like. Let's call a spade a spade. That's all they were worried about in ancient Rome. Just slaves and slaves fighting. That's it. Maybe like bread and wine. But other than that, Jesus, they were a little bit they weren't even the ones that were worried about Jesus, dude. It was the Jays. The Jays are like, no. The Jays were the ones that were worried about him, so they weren't even worried about none of that shit. They were worried purely about slavery. It was the only thing on their mind. And everyone's like the Roman Empire is the greatest empire that ever lived, or they'll say like the British Empire is like the greatest empire. But you look at all these empires, and there's like one common theme across all of them, and that is powerful military, but also slavery. Like the British Empire, the way you get an empire that big is because at a certain point people are going to be like, dude, I don't care if like the British government has any more territory, like it has no bearing on my life. No one's going to willfully move to America to pick wheat all day. So you got to get the slaves in there, dude. You got to get a few. You don't have to make it like race specific. It's easier that way. That's why Americans with like it was just like black slaves because it was like easier, right? It was just like you see a black person, all right, that's a slave, right? It's a setup, right? It's a setup that allows you to just instantly identify, be like, all right, that one's a slave, that one's not. It just makes things nice and simple so that everyone can understand it. But you got to get the slaves in, you know, even if you just want to go general slavery, like hey, everyone that's poor is a slave. You gotta get that setup going. You know what I mean? And even if you gotta always have like slaves of some kind. Even if you like technically outlawed slavery, like technically slavery is like outlawed nowadays, but it's like you gotta get in what is basically a slave. Like people will bring up like the Foxconn factories in China, and they'll be like, well, they're not technically slaves because they're paid, and it's like, all right, well, their life is entirely dependent on the manager of this factory. They can't do anything else. It's the only place they can really work. It's the only place that they can get like the money that they need to get sustenance to live. So I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but it's slavery, and that's like the liberal thing, right? Like that's the thing that libs do. My pillow just fell off my bed. Oh, and by the way, I am recording. We do got a new studio going on here. You know what I mean? Moved out from the apartment, upgraded to my parents, to my childhood bedroom. That's where we're at, dude. All my stuffed animals that watch me grow up and watch twerking compilations on my tablet. They're now watching me talk about slavery. You got to have the slaves. Like even America now, like we still got them. Even if they're not technically, we still got a few of them. That's that's what an Amazon warehouse is. People are like, "Well, you don't have to work there." And it's like, "Okay, yeah, but then I'll just not eat food. Like what am I what am I supposed to do?" Oh yeah, I can just not work at the Amazon factory and then I won't be able to have food or a house or water. I won't be able to have the things necessary to live. So it's like, yeah, I'm not no one's getting chained up anymore. Like that's the archaic way of looking at it, right? You gotta have like your slave setup like progress with time. If you're gonna have them, you can't be stuck in the old ways. You gotta adapt. You gotta see the environment around you and be like, well, we're not gonna call them slaves anymore. We're gonna call them colonial mine workers or whatever the fuck. Agricultural workers. They're like, no, America, we got the illegal immigrants coming in. Like that's the whole thing with illegal immigrants, or that's like an idea that a lot of people have about them is that the president or whoever controls immigration just keeps letting these illegal immigrants in so that they can basically use them as slaves, right? Like not even as a working class, like as a true slave class. Just not pay them anything, have them live in like pure squalor, have them have like no hope of a better life in any way, shape, or form, and just pay them nothing. And so that's the conspiracy theory around illegal immigration. And that's why you hear a lot of these people, a lot of really, really rich people, right? Like not fake, like a millionaire that has like a boat and like a Botoxed up wife, like that guy's not going to be advocating for illegal immigration because it doesn't benefit him. But like really rich people like that, like people that have like multiple houses, like those people are like, all right, I need some slaves to take care of my house. I'm not giving these guys billion. I got $1 billion and they're not going to see a fucking cent of it. All right. So those are the people that are really trying to get things done. You know what I mean? And they're not coming out and saying it. They're having like proxies say it, right? Like they're having like some blonde bitch on the news come out and be like, illegal immigration's actually good and here's why. And it's like, no, it's not good. It never is good. It's not, and it's really bad for the people that are like experiencing it, right? Like a lot of people, and it is bad for like the people that live in the country that's experiencing the illegal immigration, but it's also bad for the people that are, the illegal immigrants, right? Because they can't ever go to the fucking cops. They can't go to the IRS. They can't go to OSHA or whatever, because then it's gonna be like, well, fucking, I'm going back to Venezuela, Puerto Rico, or whatever. But even now, a little bit, like they're not sending anyone back. They're not. Even Trump isn't sending it. He deports like 100 people a day. There's like 50 million illegal immigrants. or whatever the fucking insane number is, and he's getting like 100 a day, and everyone, yeah, get him, Trump, yeah, send those boys back, send them back. It's just like families, just like regular working class. It's not even the people committing the crimes. They've arrested like one dude for weed, and they sent him to like a torture center in El Salvador. So ultimately you need the slaves though. So it's like if you want the empire, you gotta have the slaves to go. It's just they go hand in hand. You know what I mean? It's peanut butter and chocolate. You know, it's shake and bake. You know, it's like Ricky Bobby and fucking John C. Riley. I don't remember John C. Riley's character in Talladega Nights, but it's shake and bake. You need those two things together to really get the empire going. Or you know, the empire is just you need the slavery there. You gotta have the slaves. If you don't have the slaves, then you don't really have the empire. Because, like I said, no one's gonna like work to like expand. They're like, I don't care about expanding the empire, dude. I got money. I got a house. I got a what else do I need? Literally, what else is there to need? So you gotta have the slaves in there, the people that you can just be like, you can basically force to do whatever you want. That's like the whole point of slavery. Just have someone that you can force to do whatever you want. And I'm not outright advocating for slavery. I'm just saying you need those two things do tend to go together. You know, having an incredibly powerful empire, you got to have a few of them, even if it's just a few. Just like maybe it's at this point you don't really technically need them, right? Like you did in like back in like the British days or like the Roman Empire days, but like it's more of a morale booster. I feel like at this point, just to be able to be like, yeah, we can have slaves. Like it's one of those things. It's just like we're so powerful that like even though slavery is illegal, we still technically have slaves. So it's more of a morale booster now than it is like an actual like logistical thing. If that makes sense. Just being able to have them and like look at them and like nod your head and be like, yeah, we did that. We got the we got the slaves. We're gonna be a powerful empire. You know, it's like a status symbol maybe is the best way to put it, but not even that. It's like not even because they're not coming out and saying we got the slaves, but they're being like, yeah, it's just like a thing to look at. It's just like, yeah, I got a Lexus. You know what I mean? Even though I'm not the biggest car guy, if you get a bunch of money, you get like a Lexus or a Mercedes, right? Just to be like, not even to flex on everyone else, just to be like, yeah, I did it. I worked this hard and I got this thing I wanted, right? Like if you want a really nice house or whatever, or even if you don't want a really nice house, it's just a thing of like, yeah, I got it. You know what I mean? Like I work hard. I'm good at my job. I make a bunch of money. I got it. You know what I mean? So that's what these modern slaves are. It's just looking at it, you know what I mean, and like nodding your head, meaning like, yeah. Same with like the Uyghurs in China. It's like, what do they give a shit? What do they give a shit? And they don't even live in like Beijing. They don't even live in like the part of China that like everyone lives in. They live out on like the shitty fucking plains, just like these windswept mesas or wherever the fuck they live. Like out where like they're holding the Dalai Lama hostage. Like that's where the that's where the Uyghurs live at. And so I don't even think China's like getting rid of them because they need like ethnic or like cultural homogeny or whatever. It's just being like we you just got to do it. You know what I mean? Like if you're a powerful empire, you're gonna subjugate a bunch of people. You're gonna like ethnically cleanse someone. So it's maybe more of that sort of thing. Just being like, yeah, yeah, we can do that. You know, everyone else, you know, we can just deny it to everyone else. Like that's how powerful we are. It is kind of a status symbol in a way. I take that back. It is kind of a status symbol. It is kind of being like, yeah, the whole world, like the whole world is against us saying we can't do it, but we're doing it anyway because we're just that powerful. That goes for slaves. That goes for a lot of things. You know, like theme parks. You know what? You don't need a theme park, but every up and coming country, like China builds 1,000 theme parks every week. Saudi Arabia, like getting to Disneyland. Disneyland is the real symbol that your country's doing all right. Because I think it's either the UAE or Saudi or one of those Arabian Peninsula countries like that just has immense oil wealth. One of them is getting a Disney World, you know, and that's how you know things are going well over there because they're not watching any Disney. The only Disney movie they're watching over there is like Aladdin or whatever. Like they're not watching the Princess in the Frog. They don't have swamps. They don't even have black people over there. They're only watching Aladdin. It's just Aladdin on repeat all the time. But it's the status symbol of having a Disney World, being like, yeah, yeah, we got that shit, you know. But it's really not even like that either. Like in actuality, it's just Disney's trying to make as much money as possible. But it's a give and take. You know, Saudi Arabia gets the status symbol, and Disney gets the oil/blood money, which they don't give a shit. Disney does not give a shit about taking blood money. Walt Disney might have. He might have only taken blood money from like the Nazis because he was cool with those guys. He would be pissed though. Disney would be pissed because you know with the modern with the modern entertainment industry. He would be none too pleased. He'd say, "What's your last name?" Harvey Whatstein. He wouldn't even be upset about the alleged rape, which maybe not even happened. Maybe didn't even happen. That's what Candace Owens is saying. And Candace Owens, she's just one of those people. Like, people talk shit about like people watching Fox News or MSNBC or CNN or whatever, just being like, you're just watching someone agree with what you say, or just like saying what you want them to say. And it's like, I used to be like that, and then I watched Candace Owens, and then I was like, oh, Candace, she's that. She's just saying what I want her to say. Just saying that the Brigitte Macron is a transgender pedophile. Like, it's just what I want to hear. Just for pure entertainment. I don't care about France. I don't care about the state of France. They're so goddamn annoying. Everyone talking about like, oh, France is being invaded by Syrian refugees. It's like, good, good. Maybe they'll finally shut the fuck up. But the Muslims, they are. If anyone's, they're just annoying. Always just it's like ISIS. I don't even hate ISIS because of all the people they killed. People are gonna get killed, but it's like you're gonna be annoying about it. You're gonna like make a bunch of propaganda videos and shit and be like, "Death to the West. The West is an evil colonial empire." La la la. It's like, shit, dude. You're cutting off babies' heads and shit. I don't want to hear shit from you. But France does suck. I might start watching Newsmax just because Newsmax it's basically reality TV. It's just pure garbage entertainment, and that's all you really need in life. You don't need a wife or kid. You just need pure garbage entertainment to just be shut. You just need your fucking mind to be a garbage disposal that like these entertainment companies just shove shit down constantly. That's all you need. You don't need a wife or kids or a college education or a degree or a fucking face. You just need to turn your mind into a garbage disposal that can just constantly have shit shoved down it. That's all you need in life. It really is that simple. I figured it out. We went from weed and Fortnite. That was step one. Step two, it's like Buddhism, right? Like Buddhism, the wheel of Buddhism, if you've ever seen that symbol before, it's a wheel with 8 spokes on it. That's the eightfold path. And I'm slowly figuring out my own eightfold path. First step, or the first part of that path, the first, I don't know, step on the journey or whatever, weed and Fortnite. Then second step, you kind of become a political extremist for a little bit, and then after that, you turn your mind. I feel like mind into garbage disposal is step 8. That's the final. That's the number one. That's where it all leads to. That's where the path. All roads lead to Rome or whatever the fuck they say. All things in life just lead to you turning into a garbage disposal for entertainment. But religion is making a comeback. Like, on the whole, religion is making a comeback. Both of my boys are becoming religious extremists, and I realized, a lot of people, I don't know. I don't know what the ideas are around like religion coming back, but it really can be explained in just the people who aren't religious, right? The people who are like cutting kids' dicks off and being like, they're cutting kids' dicks off, and they're like, yeah, now that religion is gone, we're cutting kids' dicks off, and religion is the thing that stopped us all this time. And so everyone's just seeing that and being like, oh, well, religion was the thing stopping you from doing that. Well, then I'm gonna become like, what do you talk? I don't want people to cut their. It's these people. It's like the far left extremists that are like pushing the whole religious thing. They just need to chill out a little bit. Just cut the kids' dicks off, or just be more quiet about it, right? You don't need to. You can cut the kids' dicks off, and people are just going to be like, as long as they don't hear about it, as long as that idea isn't like shoved down their throats, they're just going to keep doing what they were doing. But no, you had to go around and brag about it, and now everyone's becoming your worst enemy because they would rather adopt a religion that they don't. And I'm not saying this is true about my boys. I'm sure they believe in their religion and stuff, but like, people would rather adopt a religion that they don't believe in just to spite you than agree with or do anything else, right? Than like rationally argue against you because your thing isn't rational, right? Like, that's the thing about the political state of America. I'm going to break this down for you guys real quick. I figured it all out. It's just not rational, you know? And so if a thing going on that people don't like isn't rational, then the response isn't necessarily going to be rational, because how do you do that? How are you going to be like, well, science? And it's like, they're not going to fucking listen to that. They didn't care to begin. They don't care about the fucking science of it. They just want to do what they're doing just to, I don't know, be angry about something. just to And that's the other thing, is that a lot of people, they don't even care about, making the ideal world. They don't care about, like the left, people being able to, practice or like get their dicks cut off when they're 7 years. They don't care about doing that actually, right? Like, they don't care about like affirming, let's just say 100% that is real, right? That like a 7-year-old can experience like gender dysphoria and like need a physical like transgender operation. Let's say that's 100% real. The left doesn't even care about that, right? Like, they don't even care about like providing these kids with like a happy life. They just care about like having something to argue about with someone like That's all it is. All it is just pushing yourself further and further in each political direction just to have something to argue about. That's it's really that simple. It's just people are so fed up with their lives as a whole that they're just like, all right, fuck it. If I can't have a better life, I might as well fill in all that empty space with just arguing with people. That's all they want. All they want is just be able to scream at someone about something for just to do it, just to like feel it's like I can't afford kids, I can't afford a house, my job is shit. I might as well just like adopt like a political extremist ideology just to be able to have that fill my time. It's the new hobbies, it's the new golf, it's the new fishing. You know what I mean? Fishing got a little bit too expensive and people were just like, all right, it's time for it's time for, illegal transgender child immigrants. They're like, I'm done with that. I'm done fishing, dude. I can't spend $400 on a rod. I already have a phone, so I'm just gonna argue with people all day on my phone. It's just that plain and simple. It's not deeper than that. It's just people wanting to be able to argue. And then another reason why religion is coming back is because it's just too complicated to be non-religious. If you really want to have like if you really want to figure out life and have like answers and have like a meaningful life, figuring that out on your own or like poring over these secular texts to figure that out, it's just way too fucking complicated. It's just like I'm never gonna I'm never gonna figure it out. It's like I'm not gonna figure out the meaning of life on my own or by poring over like philosophical texts. And the answer isn't even in there. The answer but if you adopt a religion, it's like, all right, well, this is the fucking answer. I just have like a thing to stick to and be able to go to for all the answers in life. It's really that. It's that simple. It's nothing more. It's nothing less. And there's those people that do legitimately believe in God. That is, it's a smaller sect than you might think, though. It is a pretty small sect of people being like, I truly believe that Eastern Orthodoxy is the thing that's gonna save my life and like give me eternal, you know, give me eternal fucking heaven. So it's that. That's the other one in there, but that's probably not even 0.1%. It's everyone else is just kind of doing it just to like spite the people on the left and just to like find an answer in life. And that's, you know, finding an answer in life, that's a valid reason to do it. To spite people on the left, that's a little insane. Even if and a lot of people like won't admit to that. They'll be like, "No, I legitimately believe in it. I legitimately believe that if I, you know, do these chants on Friday or whatever, then I'll go to heaven and my life will be perfect." They'll never admit to it, but like subconsciously, it's like, no, this person is so goddamn annoying about their bullshit, and the only way that I can like overcome their bullshit or the response to their bullshit is just this bullshit. It's all it is. And I'm not saying religion's a bullshit. One of them's got to be right. One of them's got to be a hit. And it's not just the biggest one. A lot of people are like, "Oh, well, Islam is the biggest one. That's got to be the answer." I don't think that's true. Islam is like the one that like hypes up like its followers the most. Christian like Catholicism really doesn't do that. Like anyone converting to Catholicism because they want to get hyped up, like that's not the religion you convert to like get that done. Islam though, Islam will hype you the fuck up. Like Buddhism doesn't really, from what I know about it, doesn't really hype you up like that though. Islam does. Islam really, because Christianity is kind of like it, you know, with a risk of offending the Christians, which I don't really care about. It's kind of a pussy religion. It's all about like you need to forgive your enemies and like turning the cheek and all that bullshit. Islam is like, dude, your enemies cut all their limbs off. Like that's what it is. It's like do like a Viking torture method to your enemies if they fucking spite you. Whereas Christianity is like peace and healing and the sacraments are the way. Okay, it's like some pussy. You know, if Jesus was born today, he'd be born in like Los Angeles or something. He'd be like, we need to let all the illegal immigrants in, and we need to, it's like, whereas Islam would be born in I don't fuck it like rural Russia or something. Like if Islam was like created today, it would be happening in like rural Russia, rural Russia. Just a dude like, "Arr, let's fucking go, dude. We're the best. Anyone that isn't us needs to die." Whereas Christianity's like, we need to go and like build schools for like these poor Haitians so we can help them. Okay, like these poor Haitians. This will be the thing that leads them to God. And Islam really, they're right. They're just like cut everyone's heads off until they submit to us. Like that is the correct answer there. It's just like a slow, like grinding thing of being like, of just like helping people until they find, like killing people with kindness. Like that's kill them with actual swords and guns and weapons of mass destruction. That's really what you need going on. You don't need to go to El Salvador and build like a fucking outdoor basketball court, to like get these people to listen to you. You need to go to El Salvador and start cutting fucking heads off and being like, you better listen to us. And that's why, Catholicism grew so much, because I feel like most of the Roman Catholics are in Latin America. Like that's where they are nowadays. And I don't know if you guys are history buffs, but Spain Spain was the one that really colonized. Same with Portugal, and they're basically the same thing. Spain and Portugal are virtually identical in every way. Especially nowadays, they're just like lazy pieces of shit that just like sleep all day and drink wine. That's all they are. But back in the day, dude, they were getting Muslim with it. They were getting real active with it, just like burning people, cutting heads off, throwing people into rivers, feeding them to alligators and shit. They were getting real fun with it. And so that's when like Christianity really grew. So that's your answer right there. Islam nowadays, if you look at it, I don't know. I was going to say it's probably one of the more violent ones, but I don't even know if that's true, because America might be number one. And it's a Christian cut. Like, whatever you think about it, like, literally on the quarter, the most important thing in the country, it says, "In God we trust." So maybe they might be, but Islam is right close behind, and they're really spreading the message. So that's what you got to do. That's another way to grow your empire, is just get it all under like one religion. Whatever religion you want to choose, you can choose Hinduism, Buddhism, just like twist it around a little bit to be like, we're the best and we need to kill everyone else. That's the slaves and doing that. Those are the two. Those are the two ways to grow your empire. Truly, it's how you get it done. It's how you get active. It's how you get people to listen. You either enslave them or cut all their heads off and like make them the same religion as you. You hear someone making like a noise you don't understand, like a noise or a word in another language, and you just cut that guy's head off, and you're like, fucking stop doing that. You better stop. Like that's how you grow your empire. That's how, like, you think like the people in like the Brazilian Amazon rainforest just heard Spanish and they were like, or Portuguese, I guess, and they were like, oh, that's a fun one. I think I'll do Portuguese. It was like, no, some dude in metal armor came up with a weapon they'd never seen before in their life, cut someone's head off, and was like, stop fucking talking like that. Talk like our talk, you fucking freak. Like that's all it was, you know. So that's how you grow your. It's just violence, but not too much. Not especially not against your own people. That's the mistake a lot of these dictators make, like the USSR, China. Not really China though, because China, they were during like the communist revolution and shit, like violent. It's not even a revolution because China wasn't even a country. Maybe it was a revolution. I don't really know how to describe it, because China was basically just like a bunch of like warring warlords at the time. Just like these small monarchies that were just going to war with each other. And then Mao Zedong came in and is like, we're just going to kill all you guys. He really figured it out. You know, Everyone thinks he's like a genius strategist. No, he was just like, he just had the means to like kill all the other powerful people and then really get active. That's all it was. It was just having the means to be able to do that. Now he did do well in like setting himself up to be able to do that, but like the actual execution of the plan wasn't like some crazy like complicated socioeconomic thing that like everyone thinks it is, or he was like exploiting like culture or whatever. It was like, no, he just killed all the other most powerful people, thus making him the most powerful person. And then he really got active and took over. So, people say you got to learn from history so you don't repeat it. I say you learn from history so you do repeat it. So you really get things done. You know, that's what America's doing. We're just like killing all the, like, if a country's not doing what we want, we're not like, especially now, like we tried in Afghanistan and Vietnam and Iraq to like really get people to listen. That's not really why we were there, but let's just say they were, and we figured out that like that whole plan didn't work. So we were just like, yeah, we'll just like send in the CIA, we'll send in like some psychopath that we MK Ultra to go and like kill the president or whatever, and then we'll just have them be on. We'll just kill the most powerful person there, or like the most powerful group of people there, and then we'll control the country, right? It's not about like giving the people power and then having the people like rule themselves. It's like, no, we're just gonna kill whoever the most powerful person is, whether it's like a general or the president or like, I don't know, some fucking like corporate leader. We'll kill him, maybe get the other people, the other more powerful people on our side, and then we'll just rule the country and have them do what we want them to do. So that's how you get an empire going. That's the trick I learned. You either cut everyone's head off or you cut the most powerful dude's head off. So Sun Tzu, The Art of War, I'm pretty sure that's chapter 1. Cut everyone's head off. whose whose head should you cut off? That's the first chapter in there. Let's think about this. Get your highlighter out. Let's highlight certain pages on here. Figure out whose head we should cut off, and then we'll become the most powerful empire in the world. So it's slavery and beheadings. That's how you get there. That's all you need. Just very two simple things. You know, yeah, and that's all you need. And what else you need is the news. So, our first news article of the day. In reversal, Gavin Newsom proposes cutting back on healthcare benefits for undocumented immigrants. The plan designed to help balance California's budget is a stark departure from the Democratic governor's promises of universal healthcare. And to be fair, a lot of people will shit on that, being like, you can't give illegal immigrants, healthcare or whatever. But it's like, if you're gonna do universal healthcare, you got to do it. Like, that's the shitty thing about doing universal healthcare, is that a lot of people like look at these people with like type 1 diabetes or whatever, the one that you're like born with, and then they see them like have to pay like these outrageous insulin prices, and they're like, fuck dude, we need like universal healthcare. But like, you're not just going to be paying insulin for like people who are just born with a shitty disease. You're going to be paying for insulin for like people who just ate themselves into that place in life. And so that's the thing about universal healthcare that people don't consider, is that some people genuinely are just in a shit situation where they can't afford healthcare, they can't pay for anything, life fucked them over, they had like an accident at work and now they're fucked. That is a decent proportion of people who do need universal healthcare, but another decent proportion of it is people who just like fucking did heroin or like fucked their bodies up completely by neglecting themselves, and now everyone else has to pay for it. Like, that's the other side of it. And that's how you get people to like back off on universal healthcare, is you go, well, what about all the people who fuck themselves, right? Like, it's not just like kids with cancer and shit. It's like 400-pound dudes who smoked cigarettes and ate McDonald's for their whole lives, and now their bodies are fucked up because of it. Like, that's the other side of it, right? It's not just like bald, like 4-year-olds with leukemia, like throwing up in the bathroom while their parents like beg for money on TikTok. It's not just that. It's like people who are kind of asking for it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people would be like, I'm not going to say the big word here, but they'll be like, yeah, that's victim blaming. No one can ask for something. It's like, yeah, you kind of are. Like, if I'm not talking about that one in particular, but like other ones are like, you know, it's like, if you're gonna play the game, you're gonna get got eventually. Sometimes, and I'm not talking about everyone. I'm not talking about the big one. I'm talking about other things in life. It's like criminals that get shot. It's like they played the game. You know what I mean? If you want to play the game like that, you can play. Hey, look, play the game. I'm all for playing games. I love games. Fortnite, Watch Dogs 2, Minecraft. That's more my game. If you want to play the game of selling meth in New Mexico, you might get your face eaten off. Like, that's just playing the game. That's what's gonna happen to you. If you want to eat McDonald's and smoke cigarettes for your whole life, that does sound like a whole bunch of fun. You can do that, but you're gonna pay the price for playing the game. That's all I'm saying here. I'm not going after the big one. That's no one plays that game. There might be a few people that play that game, a very small sect. Most of them are probably men, probably homosexual men. So there is probably a few people that do choose to play that game, but yeah, I'm going to take a controversial stand here and say, for the big one, that people victim blame on, or that they used to. I don't even know if that, I don't know if they ever did. That's one of those things you hear about, and you're like, do people really say that when like someone gets like assaulted, like sexually assaulted or whatever? They're like, what was she wearing? It's like, do people really? I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm young, but I've never heard that one come out. But like other parts of the game, other games that you want to play, you're going to get got on. Marshawn Lynch. You're going to get got eventually. So, but universal healthcare for illegal immigrants. And it's just so funny. Like, this is an NBC article, and this NBC isn't even like that far left, I feel like, but I kind of understand what people are talking about, where they're like, the entire media is so far left, because they're making it seem like it is. Gavin Newsom is going back on his word. That is part of it. He's just completely like reversing what he said to like balance the budget, which that just proves California is the least American state, because the most American thing to do in this situation is be like, no, I'm right. I'm never wrong about anything. I will send this place into $80 trillion of fucking debt if I have to. Like, if Gavin Newsom was like a real American, if he was a real American like leader, he would be like, no, I'm never wrong about anything. I'm going to destroy this fucking state if I have to, just to not even prove I'm right, just to continue, just to not have to admit that I'm wrong. Like, that's not even to, like, prove my point or, like, do something that's, like, good for everyone or that'll help, like, a small subset of people out. I just don't want to admit I'm wrong. But how long has that dude been fucking the governor of California? I feel like he's the only governor of it's Arnold Schwarzenegger who was, like, the governor in, like, the '80s or the '90s or something like that, and then it's Gavin Newsom. I feel like he's a bit of a he's a bit of a Fidel Castro, you know what I mean? He's been in there, he's like, "Yeah, I just keep I don't know how, like, everyone in the state hates me, but I keep winning the governor. I keep becoming the governor over and over again," and it's like, "Yeah, do you? Aren't you isn't, like, your, like, political sphere or whatever, aren't you the guys that, like, count the votes and stuff?" I don't think the people of California are just like, "Yeah, you know, it just keeps burning down, no one can afford everything, all the industry's leaving, but let's just keep voting for this guy." I think there might be something fishy going on here, but let's see what's gonna happen to these poor undocumented immigrants. He will unveil a budget plan on Wednesday that would cut back on healthcare benefits for undocumented immigrants, his office said. And here's the other thing about that, like about universal healthcare in these states like California or wherever the fuck else it exists, is that it's not you're not getting healthcare, right? Like like the UK and Canada, both of those countries have universal healthcare, and then you look at it and it's like in the UK, it's just you have to wait like 82 weeks to like get your fucking broken arm fixed. And then in Canada, it's like, yeah, just kill yourself. Like those like every country, every place that has universal healthcare doesn't have any kind of healthcare. You know, it's like, yeah, we have anyone can get healthcare, and it's like anyone can get healthcare 90 weeks from now. Anyone can get healthcare if they're also very rich and powerful and have a lot of political sway. You know, it's one of those kinds of setups. Anyone can get healthcare if they need to. Anyone can get it 10 years from now. It's like you have diabetes, you can get insulin if you move to the UK 10 years from now. It's that type of setup. So even all these places, these undocumented immigrants, the only ones that were receiving healthcare were the ones that like Kamala Harris chose to make transgender. Like those are the only ones that are getting fucking healthcare. The proposed plan, which Newsom's office said would help to balance the state's budget, would be a stark reversal of the Democrats' promises of universal healthcare for all, including all low-income adults, regardless of their immigration status. And here's the thing about illegal immigrants. They don't have immigrant. What are you talking about? They're immigration. No, these are just people that are not they're not immigrants. They're just people who came here illegally. And you could say they should be immigrants. Like maybe that's a point you could make. You could say all these people that, you know, were forced to come here illegally, they should have an easier avenue to have come here legally. You could say that. That could be an argument you make, but you can't call them immigrants. Like I don't they're just people who just came here illegally. They're not even I don't even know what you'd call it. You but here's the other thing about that, if you don't call them illegal immigrants, you're probably gonna get pretty close to a slur, so you you kinda gotta call them illegal immigrants, so you don't get too close to that. You don't wanna get too close. Despite financial uncertainty, Governor Newsom will announce an effort to continue providing health insurance to undocumented Californians, but with new rules in place to curtail costs. I mean, what the fuck are we doing? Why is that the thing you're focused on, right? It's like fuck the kids with cancer. Fuck the kids with cancer whose like parents are incredibly low income, whose parents have like are in like a shit situation in life, who can't afford to like save their kids. Fuck those people. Like, let's focus on the illegal. This is another reason the people everyone everyone's starting a lot more people are starting to hate the left now. Like it's the reason Trump won after like 2 hours of voting. It's because why are you focusing on that? Like if you want to focus on universal healthcare, focus on things people give a shit. Like the vast majority of these people that live in the country, including me, you're not looking at being like, oh, the illegal immigrants. What's gonna happen to the illegal immigrants and their Lexapro prescriptions? Like no one fucking cares. Like 3 people care about that, and they're in fairness to the left, the 3 people that do care about the illegal immigrants and their fucking Xanax prescriptions are the most loud, annoying fucking people on earth. So that's my defense of the left in this situation because they are listening to people on their side, just the most annoying, extremist, loud ones. So it's like, yeah, let's focus on the elite. Let's not focus on the other part of it. And this is you might say, well, this is you have to dig for this article. You just wanted to shit. No, this was like the first. I looked up news. I literally Googled news, and this was the first one that popped up. So The move, which Newsom is expected to announce at a budget presentation later Wednesday, comes as President Trump's administration has said it will investigate other aid programs California offers to undocumented immigrants. Yeah, this is the other thing. Trump's not going to do that. The administrator, they're gonna shut down like one program that like gives needles to like fentanyl addicted illegal immigrants. They're gonna shut down one program like that and be like, we did it. California saved. We figured it out. We're the best. We knew what was going on the whole time. Whole time. So they're not gonna do that either. Fact sheets on the proposal provided by Newsom's office said that he would freeze enrollment in his 2025-26 budget for undocumented adults to receive the full scope of the state's Medicaid program, known as Medi-Cal. Newsom's office said that the changes would apply only to new applicants over 19 years old, that existing enrollees would not be kicked off their plans, and that the freeze would not apply to people enrolled in limited plans. You know what I would do if I lived in California? If I lived in California and like this was like the world that I lived in, where it's like illegal immigrants get like full healthcare coverage, I would just become like an Oxycontin. I just like, you know, you know how like dudes that do construction or like lawn care or like really any like hard labor like that, like concrete guys, they'll just like go to Home Depot and like pick up a bunch of like Mexicans or whatever, like illegal immigrants, and have them like work for like $2 for the day. I would do that, but I just like send them into like offices and shit and be like, my back hurts. You ain't see, ay caramba, my back hurts. I need Oxycontin. I need hydrocodone. I need painkillers, mate. Please give me the. I just like I just go to Home Depot every single day with a fucking like U-Haul van. Just pack the boys in, send them into these offices to get me to give me just massive amounts of Oxycontin prescriptions and then just sell it. Like you gotta, you, if you got a capitalist mind, which I don't even know if that plan would work, but it could be a jump off point. It could be a jump off point to another plan. You gotta think of that, right? You can't just be like, oh, illegal immigrants are getting that. It's like, no, how can I make money out of this? Because you're not gonna change Gavin Newsom's mind. Like that guy, even if he's probably not even the one making these decisions, and even if he is, you're not gonna change his mind, right? So you might as well take advantage of the situation and start selling OxyContin again. And I don't know much about the history of America, but I know when OxyContin was big. OxyContin was big in like the 90s and early 2000s. Shit ruled. So maybe you could start like a cultural revolution like that. You know what I mean? Have people snorting time release OxyContin and really bring back the old world we used to live in. You could be a decent plan there. I'm not saying 100% it'll work, but you'll probably make a nice buck off it. You'll probably be able to get like a condo in like Tampa or something like that. So, if you're in California and you're listening to this, and I know that you are, start selling Oxycontin, dude. The proposed changes would also include a new $100 monthly premium for adults and older with unsatisfactory immigration status. God damn it, dude. The libs are so funny like that. Just like the words or like the collections of words that they use to like describe things like that, like people with unsatisfactory immigration status. I was in an anthropology class this one time, and it's an anthropology class. It's like a cultural anthropology class at an extremely liberal university. Like that's what it is. And we were going over like some like article or something we had to read. And the way they described like drug dealers was like extra legal. It was like something like extra legal, like pharmaceutical, like dead serious, right? I'm sure people have heard this meme before or like this joke where it's like, I'm not a drug dealer. I'm a pharmacist or whatever. But they legitimately said this extra legal like pharmacology people or something like that, dude. The libs are always coming, and I love it. People will be like, that's so stupid, like that doesn't make any sense, that's just a dumb collection. I love it, dude. It's so funny to me because they're not changing anything about like the substance of these people's lives, right? Like a drug dealer, like some poor black kid that's like from Harlem or like fucking wherever the fuck, Atlanta, selling drugs on the street. They don't actually do anything to like change that guy's life, to like get him into like technical training or college or like some kind of gainful legal employment, to like make sure he doesn't like go to jail and like continue the vicious cycle that's happening like in America's black communities. They don't do that. They're not like, oh, we're gonna get this kid, we're gonna have him become like a welder or an electrician or whatever. They don't do that. They just like start calling them extra legal street pharmacology providers. Like that's all. That's all it is. That's just modern liberalism like summed up into like one thing, right? Just like changing the name of something, just being like, that name is mean. Stop using that mean name. Use this other name. And it's like not changing anything about like these people's trying to make these people's lives better. It's just calling them a different name that like sounds that's not even nicer. It's just so convoluted that no one can understand it and then argue with it, against them, right? It's like no one if you force people to call drug dealers extra legal street pharmacology providers, people are just going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to stop arguing with you about drug deal. Like that's all it is. It's just making these extremely long, convoluted names so that people stop arguing with you, right? Just like forcing people to call pedophiles like minor attracted peoples. It's like no one's gonna, no people already shorten the word pedophile to just pedo. So if you make people call pedophiles fucking what was it minor attracted people, they're just going to stop arguing with you about it because they don't want to say that word over and over again. So that can be the left kind of summed up. That Newsom's office said that refers to people whose immigration status makes them ineligible for federally funded Medicaid, including people with lawful status, sorry, and the undocumented. The added premiums would begin in 2027. So I guess, and this is the other side of this thing, is like this is just a political play. Like having healthcare for undocumented immigrants, it's it's kind of just about like virtue signaling, but it's also a political play to be like, all right, well, the federal government doesn't fuck with this thing, so we're gonna start doing that, right? Like if the federal government isn't gonna do this, then we're gonna do it just to like kind of spite them, right? Like just to like spite, because I'm sure this started in like 2017 or whatever when Trump came into office and he was like, I'm gonna build a wall and kick out all the like. I'm sure this like program started then, and Gavin Newsom just did it just to be like, or whoever the governor of Cal. I'm sure he was the governor. That guy, that guy's just continuing to be the governor of California for so long. But I'm sure he did it just to like spite Trump, just to like spite the federal government, just to be able to be like, you want to do that? You want to kick out all the illegal immigrants, the people who clean my house for 27 cents an hour, the people who like make everything incredibly cheap. You want to kick those people out? I'm going to start giving them free health care. I'm sure that's what it was. That has to be because you look at a lot of this shit, a lot of people, especially the conspiracy theorists, including me, they have this idea that like there's some great cabal that's like all working together to like destroy the common man. And maybe in part, like somehow that's true, especially with like these corporations and like these basically oligarchs. But a lot of it is just like incredibly petty, like white trash, like family disputes, just being like, Jeb, you don't want to let my daughter eat Mountain Dew at your house? God damn it, I'll feed your kids Mountain Dew. Like that's all that a lot of this shit is. So yeah, these poor illegal immigrants are gonna have to pay $100 a month to get their Lexapro and their and their transgender bottom surgeries. It's an unfortunate situation. It's a shitty situation that we're in. And then this other article that I had, this is from Vatican News, which I guess is like the official, thing of the Catholic Church. Let's see. Pope Leo the 14th meets with tennis star Jannik Sinner, Janik, whatever, however you pronounce it. He met with this dude, Jannik Sinner. You know, Catholics meeting with sinners. It's what Jesus would. It's what Jesus would have wanted him to do. But I just kind of wanted to talk about the new pope for a little bit, because the old pope, Pope Francis, rest in peace. I don't know if anyone gives. I don't know if that guy was 90 years. There's no rest in peace, or it's like finally he's dead. Like even that guy, even Pope Francis himself was like fucking finally. Jesus Christ, dude. God, why did you make me stay here with like failing kidneys? Even he's glad he's dead. So that guy was old as shit. But I like Pope Leo the 14th based purely off his name. Just based purely off his name, I fuck with Pope Leo the 14th because Pope Francis came in, and if you don't know who Saint Francis is, so the Pope chooses like a saint's name to be his name, right? So the first Pope was Saint Paul, and then I'm sure a lot of other popes have become saints and shit like that, but they just basically choose the saint's name. And I guess part of it is like that the saint's name they choose has some meaning. And Saint Francis of Assisi, he was like this. I don't even know how to describe him. He was like this guy that would like almost like a Jesus type of figure, right? Like a lot of these saints, like you got like Joan of Arc and like shit like that of like these people who like, were crusaders or whatever. But Saint Francis of Assisi. He was like this dude that would like go and like hang out with like lepers and like people with like diseases and like societal rejects and like animals and shit like that. So he's kind of like a lib, you know. He's kind of like a hippie lib. And so when Pope Francis chose that name, that was kind of like an indication that he was going to be like a hippie lib of a pope. So I don't know. I don't know if he was, but from everything I heard about him, and this could be because everything I heard about the Pope was from Fox News or like just the news in general. You know, I'm not, fairly interested or invested in like the inner political workings of the Catholic Church, but he did seem like a big old hippie lib. But Pope Leo the 14th, any pope that has like the 14th or like the 18th or like whatever the fuck it is, that's a sign that that person is going to maintain the status quo, because they were just like, all right, Pope Leo the 14th. I don't know who Pope Leo the 13th was. I'll look that guy up real quick, but that guy was probably he was probably really conservative. Pope Leo the 13th. Yeah, when was this guy in office? 1903. Yeah, yeah. So he was probably not the most liberal guy on earth. He probably wasn't, like Pope Francis meeting with illegal transgender immigrants or whatever and being like, all religion is Catholicism or whatever. Didn't he say something like that? Didn't Pope Francis say something like that? Being like, it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or whatever else, all religions lead you to God. Didn't he say say something insane like that? Because here's the thing about that. I'm not saying that Islam is wrong or that Hinduism or Buddhism. I don't really care. I don't really know. But like, the whole point of the Catholic Church is that you are kind of, in a way, is that if you know about Catholicism and that you've heard the word of the good Lord, then you are Catholic and you follow the rules, and that Catholicism is the way to, like, going to heaven. Obviously, the Catholics, they do believe that you don't have to be Catholic to go to heaven, but I'm sure it I'm sure it helps out a lot in their God's eyes. And so it's so contrary to Catholicism just to be like, yeah, you can be whatever your religion you want and you'll go to heaven. It's just, it doesn't, you can follow any set of rules, and as long as it's a religion, you'll go to heaven. It's so, it's just stupid, right? It's just so contrary to Catholic. Like, if you're going to be a Catholic, be a fucking Catholic. If you're going to be a Muslim, be a Muslim. If you're going to be whatever, be that thing. Don't just pussy out like that. That's what pissed me off about him. But let's see what happened with, that is crazy that that Pope Leo the 14th, the first meeting that I've heard of is with a fucking a tennis player. On Wednesday, Pope Leo the 14th received tennis champion Jannik Sinner into the Vatican. The Pope and the 23-year-old athlete. What does a 90-year-old guy from Chicago and a 23-year-old tennis player have to talk about? You have nothing to talk about. There's literally zero to. They're both Catholic. Are I don't know. There's like 90-year-old dudes who are from the same city I live in. Like, I'm not. He should be talking to other 80-year-old dudes. He should be talking to Trump first. That's the other. So you can really understand what's best for the Catholic Church. He should talk to Trump first. But yeah. Oh, I guess Pope Leo really loves tennis. Yeah. God, the more and more I learn about this guy. Oh, here he is holding a tennis racket. Here he is looking at a big old tennis trophy. I'm going to say it, and this is going to sound like an unpopular opinion. The Catholic Church is controlled by the Jews, because I'm looking at pictures. Every picture I see of the Pope, he's wearing a yarmulke, dude. I think that the Catholic Church is controlled by the Jews, because why else would he be wearing a yarmulke if he's not secretly Jewish? That is a funny, like, conspiracy theory in my mind. Like, one of, like, just those incredibly stupid things that you hear about, just the Catholic Church is Jewish because the Pope wears a yarmulke. Yarmulke. All right. And then Kim Kardashian. I guess she got robbed a few years ago. In 2016, she got robbed at gunpoint in Paris. She got her chain snatched, basically. Her hands were zip tied. Her mouth was taped. She thought she wouldn't survive. Yeah, this is completely fake. This is entirely made. Kim Kardashian probably has better security than the vice president. The vice president, I don't even know what this is. I don't even know if they get security. They don't even live in the White House. They just live in like a fucking apartment somewhere in Washington D.C. I'm sure they don't even get their own fancy special house. So Kim Kardashian, she probably has more security than the actual because no one cares about the vice. It's like if you kill the president, then the vice president gets in. So like that's kind of a big. But you kill the vice president, it's like who cares? The vice president is like basically the first lady. Like the vice president like just chooses one thing to focus on and then does that. Like that's all the vice president does. So no, like JD Vance is talking about like I don't know poisoned rivers in Ohio. He's probably not even. He's probably talking about cryptocurrency. Like that's probably like I think Kamala Harris's whole thing. Like Biden made her like the border czar, and like that's kind of what she was known as. I think I think JD Vance is like just Trump's little crypto boy. So I'm pretty sure Kim Kardashian has more security than the vice president. Kim Kardashian said a silent prayer for her sister, her best friend, her family as a masked man pulled her toward him in a Paris hotel room. Damn, dude. This guy broke into her hotel room? That's crazy. That's still fake. Still in at first I heard this and I was like, no way someone just ran up on the street and like jacked fucking Kim Kardashian. Like 0% chance that happened. Even breaking in that's significantly less likely. It's a fancy hotel in Paris. Like that sounds like a fancy hotel in Paris sounds like the ultimate target for like a jewel thief or something like that. So that place was definitely this was definitely like some kind of like marketing strategy that like Chris Jenner pulled. Chris Jenner, and we know her. We know Chris Jenner. Everyone knows Chris Jenner. She'll do anything, dude. Chris Jenner will get anything done. So I think 100% Chris Jenner and her like Botoxed out face was like sitting in like a war room. Like, how can we make Kim more popular with the street people, the urchins, the trash that pollutes our street? How can we make her more popular with them? Make her get robbed, make her steal all this guy's jewels or whatever. I was certain that that was the moment that he was going to rape me, she told the Paris court Tuesday. I absolutely did think I was going to die. Yeah. I can't blame Kim Kardashian for that first thought right there because I mean it is Kim Kardashian. It is Kim Kardashian. So I can't blame her for having that thought being like, dude, I'm like the hottest chick in the world. This is definitely no, he was just after the jewels and respect to that guy, right? Because if I had Kim Kardashian tied up and, zip tied in her mouth, I'd at least grab a titty. You know what I mean? I'd at least be like, everyone talks about this ass. I gotta see it. Not even getting in there just to be able to be like, all right, I've seen it in person, so we're done with that. But she thought that was gonna happen to her. She thought she was gonna die too. She said she was getting ready for bed when that's so sexy too. Kim Kardashian in like a fluffy robe and then I'm imagining like a hot like Italian guy breaking in. Give me all of your money, Mrs. Kardashian. He like ties her up and she's like, oh, yeah. Then she has a full face of makeup still on somehow. And he's like tying her up. Where are your jewels at? I don't have any jewels. Is there some other way that I can pay you? That's exactly what happened here. It was definitely very sexy. All right. She said she was getting ready for bed when she heard stomping on the stairs. At first, she thought it was her sister Courtney. Damn, that's a sneak diss towards Courtney. That's her being like, yeah, I heard like some incredibly hard steps that were like shaking the whole house. So she was definitely dissing Courtney there a little bit. At first, she thought it was her sister Courtney and a friend returning from a drunk night out at Paris Fashion Week. Hello, hello, who is it? She called out. The masked men stormed the room. She grabbed her phone but didn't know the French emergency number. That's so... What's the number for 911? I can't say the other part of that meme. It's a really big word. That's the other part of that one. I have babies, Kardashian said, according to her testimony. I have to make it home. They can take everything. I just have to make it home. So I guess this happened in 2016, but they didn't. Holy, is that Chris Jenner? Chris Jenner looks exactly like Michael Jackson after he turned white. Oh my God. Dude, she looks exactly. And she's not even the trans one. You might be thinking she's the trans one. No, Caitlyn is the trans one. Chris looks exactly like Michael. That's insane. Same chin, same like weird nose, same like weird like stretch backed face. God, she looks exactly like Michael Jackson. That is insane. She was carried into the bathroom. One man taped her mouth. She was told she'd be okay if she stayed quiet. Fair enough, That's just if you're gonna if you're gonna like carry like millions of dollars of jewelry around with you, it's just what's gonna happen. Like people need money, People are gonna, and it's also just I'm not like a communist, like a Marxist or anything, like kill the rich, eat the rich or whatever. But if you're like a poor dude living on the streets of Paris and it's Paris Fashion Week and you see all these millionaires walking around with like millions of dollars worth of jewels on their necks, that's gonna piss you off. You're gonna get upset about that and you're gonna be like, fuck these people. How can I get some money out of this? Like, it's what's gonna happen. One dude is gonna be like, fuck these. And I don't blame him for that either. I'm not like, oh, no, you need to get your own, you need to earn your own money. Like Kim Kardashian. Everyone knows how hard Kim Kardashian worked for her money, I'm not, so I can't even blame the guy. I'm like, yeah, go kidnap Kim Kardashian and take all her jewels off her neck. Fuck, it's basically a reenactment of like the French Revolution of like King Louis the 14th, I think it was. I don't know, whichever one it was, walking around with like a crown full of jewels while like the people of his country starved. Like that's all this is just like an extension of that in a way. Just this guy being like, no, fuck, I'm like a I'm living like paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, Kim Kardashian walks around with literal millions of dollars on her. Like I'm gonna take her money. So I don't blame this guy too much. But yeah, no, lock this thug up. And here's the other thing about Kim Kardashian. I don't know if people know this. Sorry, Kim like I think she like got a law degree. She got like some bullshit law degree from like Phoenix, whatever, Phoenix Online College. And so now she like advocates for people. Like she advocates for people left. And I wonder if she'll do that for him. That could be the ultimate publicity stunt. Just like some person who like hates Kim Kardashian just coming out and being like, this guy needs to be rehabilitated and released from prison. Kim Kardashian and her evil prosecution team locked up this poor man. This poor man just trying to get money to feed his family. That could be the ultimate move. Just to be like, shut up, Kim Kardashian. I hate you. I'm just gonna hire a team of lawyers to like countersue you just because of how annoying your other thing is. And then yeah, that's all I've got. Kim Kardashian, Kris Jenner, making slaves, cutting heads off, cutting arms off. Yeah, see you guys next on Sunday. Have a good day, good week, good year, good life. Have a good summer. Hags. That's what everyone used to write in the notebook. So hags. And I'll see you guys on Sunday. Peace.